I watched the Pornhub documentary on Netflix the other day, and let me tell you, that's the documentary. If you're gonna watch it with the windows closed, because there's a little bit of graphic content in it. You don't want your neighbors to get the wrong idea about what type of person you actually are, unless you are that type of person, in which case they should know what kind of weirdo they live next door to. With that said, before we get any deeper into this, like, subscribe, turn the notifications on, share around if you're feeling generous. Follow my socials at Caleb Is It Funny on Twitter and Instagram, Caleb Salvatore Comedy on TikTok, if you like being spied on by the Chinese. For now, it sounds like they're going to ban it, though. We'll talk about that maybe later on in the week. Follow my show, That's Based with Caleb Salvatore. It's on Rumble, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Again, That's Based with Caleb Salvatore. Episodes air every Saturday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. We post clips of it every single day here on this YouTube channel, unfortunately, at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Unfortunately, they don't let us post full episodes here. You go watch it and you'll figure out why. It's brought to you by Outlaw Streamers. You can go to www.outlawstreamers.com to learn more about not just my show, but tons of other great content that they've got in the works and currently in distribution. It's the fastest growing streaming network in the world. Well, one of the fastest. I don't know. So yes, I watched the Pornhub documentary, and I gotta say, I don't know why I was expecting anything different from the liberal Hollywood elite like Netflix, but it was very clearly biased in favor of the porn industry, the sex work industry. It was very clearly biased in favor of them. It was not an objective documentary. It almost came off as like it had an agenda. Now, it did point out some of the harms of porn, but there was more of an emphasis put on the people that were countering the actual, or that were countering the points made, than there were on the people actually making the points. Not to mention the people who were the anti-porn folks were they were all painted as these far-right Christian extremists straight out of the 1990s, and that's just not the case. There is a non-religious argument against porn and against porn consumption. And I'm a free speech guy. As long as there's no kids involved and everyone's consenting, I don't care if they want to distribute porn throughout the internet. That's their prerogative. I do think that we as a society need to discourage it. I think young men should drift away from it because it is very destructive. And it's not just destructive to the men that watch it. And I know you're going to say, oh, it's the women that are in it too. Well, yes, it is. So a lot of those women are trafficked. But it's also destructive to the wives of the men who watch that. Because it ruins marriages. It sets up unrealistic expectations. It tells you, hey, you don't have to work, for sex. You don't have to put the moves on your wife and take her out to a nice dinner or anything like that. You can just go get it on your phone. And I feel like it ruins a lot of men and it ruins a lot of marriages. And that message was portrayed in the film, but it was portrayed from the Christian conservative stance, not just the, hey, and I am a Christian, I am a conservative, but I don't approach being anti-porn from a religious conservative stance. I approach it from a health stance, specifically a mental health stance. I think it's dangerous. I think it again, this is the point I always make. Porn is anything in moderation, for the most part, is fine. Any type of vice. Gambling in moderation is fine. Alcohol in moderation is fine. Marijuana in moderation is fine. Going to the strip club in moderation is fine. Whatever your vice is, in moderation, it's probably okay, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. Porn in moderation is not an exception. If you can watch porn 2-3 times a week and be fine, then great. The problem is a lot of people can't because they're addicted to the dopamine rush. They're addicted to that feeling it gives them. We're all creatures. We're all addictive. And it's a lot easier to get hooked on porn when you can just get it on your phone than it is to develop, say, a drinking problem or a drug addiction. And that's why I think porn is actually the most dangerous addiction out there. Because, think about it. If you're an alcoholic, you can't just go If you're an alcoholic and you run out of liquor, there are several things that could prevent you from going to get more. I mean, maybe the liquor stores and bars are closed. Maybe your car's broke down. Maybe your friends took your keys because they were good friends. Maybe, maybe you don't have any money left. There's a lot of things that could prevent you as an alcoholic from going out to get drunk. Same with drugs. All of those things, except maybe not money, because there are some things you can do for drugs. Gambling, same thing. If you run out of money, sorry. There's no games to bet on, sorry. There's always porn, and porn's always free, though. You can go to Pornhub at any time. You don't need a car. You don't need money. You don't need any of that. You don't need to get up and actually go somewhere. Porn is the only addiction out there that doesn't require any effort on the addict's part to go out and partake in it. It's the only one. And that's why it's more dangerous. And it destroys lives the same way alcohol does. It destroys families the same way alcohol does. If you don't think it's harmless, well, let me ask you this. For those of you parents out there watching this, if you were going to send your kid over to a friend's house to sleep over and you found out that the dad was watching porn every night in the basement or in the bedroom or wherever, would you be comfortable with your kid going over there? If the answer is yes, then I'm kind of judging you right now. Because the fact is, if you're a young man watching this right now, there's a chance you've had at some point in your life a problem with porn. If you're under the age of 35, you've had a problem with porn at some point in your life. We all have, man. It's addictive. It's thrown in our face. We're not taught any type of control over it. We discover it when we're young, and we learn to hide it at a very young age, and it just spirals out of control. The difference now is we're only at the very beginning of the extent of this nation's porn problems. It's going to get significantly worse. Do you know how I know it's going to get significantly worse? Because Gen Z is the first generation, and I'm not just generation bashing. Gen Z is the first generation to have one of these since they're in grade school, on their hip at all times. And yes, you can put on parent blocks, but there's ways around those. And how many people actually do? Because I'll be 28 this year. When I was a kid, when I was in middle school, which is right around the age where we were all discovering porn, we had the family computer. It was a piece of crap, Windows XP, and you had to know where to go, and you had to do that little window of time where you would get home off the bus, and you had like 2 or 3 hours before your mom got home from work, and even then, there were times she might come home early, and it was a very risky game, and you had that little window of opportunity, and you had to learn to clear all the history and you know what sites to go to not get a virus, and it was a whole thing. It was a difficult thing to do to get on porn when we were kids. Not anymore. Pull it up on their smartphone now. Do it as many times as they want. This is the first generation in the history of this country to have porn on demand at their fingertips, whenever they want, wherever they want. You don't think that's a problem? I mean, before us, people had DVDs and magazines. It was even more difficult to come across. Now it's on your phone. You can watch anything you want. You can find a porn star that looks like any girl you know, or boy, whatever you're into, it doesn't matter. And it just ruins people. It sets up unrealistic expectations for sex, and just like any other addiction, when you look at heroin addicts are always what they call chasing the dragon. They're trying to recapture how they felt with that first high, going to more and more extremes, and they'll never get it. But they're still chasing it because they're an addict. When you do that same thing with the porn addict, when you have them out chasing the dragon, they're going to look for that initial feeling they felt when they discovered it. And they're not going to be able to get it through the same old vanilla porn, so they're going to go down a dark path of stuff that's a lot more messed up, and it's going to create not just an unrealistic expectation of sex that was already there, it's going to create some dark sexual urges for some people. Not all of them, but for some people, it's going to create some dark sexual urges. We're going down a bad path, man. The wide distribution of porn in this country is a serious problem. Now I'm getting just preachy. I'm not even talking about the documentary, but I think it all lies into it. It all plays into each other. It's a serious problem. And if you don't believe it's a serious problem, then you might have a problem too, man. And I'm not one of those. I think it's called like NoFap. I think there needs to be a happy medium, because I think that as a man, I can't speak for women. I don't know. Women, let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with what I'm saying. I think as a man, you need to, I don't want to get banned from YouTube, but reach the climax a couple times a week for your sanity's sake. I think you think clearer. I think it de-stresses you. So I think that there has to be some type of happy medium between being just a society of prudes and over-sexualized like we are right now. But you don't have to get that from porn. That nut, I guess we could say. If you're married, try having sex with your wife or your girlfriend or whatever. It's crazy. The real thing is actually better than porn, believe me. It is. If you're not, and you don't have a girlfriend, I mean, don't go out and just bang random skanks, but if you're not, or you're saving yourself for marriage, or whatever the case is, use your imagination. Use your imagination. That's a concept that a lot of people don't even think about. Promise you, you can pull it off. Again, I don't know why I expected any better from Netflix with this documentary. I really shouldn't have. And I'm not a prude. Like I'm not a prude. I'm getting married this year. Lost my virginity way before I, obviously before I was married. I'm not a prude. But I also can see the problem coming over the hill, and I'm pointing it out, saying, hey, look, here's the problem. Here it comes. It's only going to get worse, and no one's doing anything about it. I don't know what the solution is, though. I think, and let me know in the comments if you have what you think the solution to this is, because it is a problem. There's no denying that this is a problem that's gotten way out of hand. Let me know in the comments what you think the solution is, because I don't know what it is. I think, unfortunately, the solution is what a lot of you don't want to hear, which there is no government entity that's going to come in and save you. There's no institution that's going to come in and save the day. This is something we as individuals, values we have to instill at home in our day-to-day lives on the most micro of scales. And the values you have to instill in your offspring, and et cetera, et cetera. It's not something that we can just pass legislation and save the day, and I don't think we should. Because, again, like I said, whether you like it or not, it's free speech. And when we start letting them legislate free speech, then we open the door for, I don't like Dave Chappelle's new comedy special. Ban it. Put him in jail. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's a good thing either. But there's got to be something, man. Something has got to change in this society, or it's just not. It's not going to be good for men or women. It's just a bad situation this country's in right now. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree? Was I too hard on it? Do you feel the opposite of me? Because Netflix has made some objective documentaries. All those streaming services have. They're not super. Not everyone is super woke or progressive or anything like that. But this one, it just let me down. From the sex work and that's another thing that annoys me. Sex work is not work. It's not. It is a means of income. It is not work. You can go donate plasma and make $100 right now. It's not a job. It's a source of income. It's not work. And honestly, sex work can't be work. We can't say sex work is work. Because think about it this way. If you get hired at Burger King to be a fry cook, and your boss says, hey, on top of being a fry cook, I need you to clean the bathrooms. And you say, screw you. I'm not cleaning the bathrooms. I was hired to be a fry cook. He can fire you because you're being insubordinate, because you're refusing to do work. Now, if you get hired at Burger King to be a fry cook and your boss says, hey, blow me, or hey, I need you to send me nudes once a week. Should you be fired for that? Should that be treated the same way as refusing to clean the bathroom? If sex work is work, then that's your answer. I'm asking that question rhetorically. Of course it shouldn't be. And that's why we can't call sex work work. It's fine if it's not it's not work. It's sex work. It's its own thing. It's a source of income. It's not a real job. And it has to be that way for society's sake. We can't set the precedent that sex work is work, or we go down a really, really dangerous path. And if we've learned anything in 2023, the slope is always going to get slippery. You're just going to slide and slide and slide, my guy. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you agree with me there? Do you agree with me on the documentary? Do you agree with my outlook on porn? Maybe you think that it's not a problem. Maybe you think we need more porn. If that's the case, let me know. I want to know why. I'm truly interested to hear. Just keep it civil. That's all. Don't come out with the insults. I'm not being rude to you. Just let me know in the comments. I know I'm at YouTube commenters. Please be civil. I mean, that's like asking. I don't even know, man. It's like asking the wall to get up and move for me. Anyway, thank you guys for watching so much. Check out my podcast. It'll air Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. OutlawStreamers.com, Rumble, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. We're talking about the Trump arrest that never happened. Well, we'll see, because we pre-tape it Wednesdays. We're talking about the Trump arrest that never happened. We're talking about the bills that would ban transitionary care for minors. We're talking about, I got a couple things I can't mention on here because they're buzzwords that YouTube will yank me for. We're talking about some suggested changes to the U.S. Penal Code that just happened to fly under the radar. Pretty convenient there. We're talking about alien mothership sending probes to Earth. We're talking about an online troll who tested the limits of free speech, and if he goes to jail, well, might be the last you're hearing from me for a while, too. Just put it that way. And we got a lot more on there, so make sure you guys go check it out. That's Based with Caleb Salvatore. I'll post the link in the description of the most recent episode from last week. Episodes air every Saturday. I get a little bit more serious than normal in this one because we talk about some sensitive subjects that really upset me, and I didn't have my producer in the room with me to kind of lighten the mood. So it was just me, and it was just pure fiery rage for a little bit of the time. But we also joke around on that show, too. It's not always so serious. Anyway, thank you guys for watching so much. Cheat on your taxes, not your spouse. Peace out, and stay based. Hey, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, turn the notifications on, and share around if you're feeling generous. It would really mean a lot to me if you guys did that. You can follow all my socials at Caleb Isn't Funny on Twitter and Instagram, Caleb Salvatore Comedy on TikTok, Caleb Salvatore on Rumble right below. They're also in the description. You can literally just click them and go to the website just through the link. There's no additional work required on your end. I promise you're not going to regret it. Follow me everywhere. You can also check out my show, That's Based with Caleb Salvatore. Episodes air every Saturday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. Video on Rumble, audio on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. OutlawStreamers.com to learn more. That's the network we're on. They don't let us post full episodes to YouTube. You go check it out. You'll see why. That's Based with Caleb Salvatore every Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, wherever we're not banned, which unfortunately YouTube is just one of those places. We do post clips of it here, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time on this YouTube channel. It plays by YouTube's rules. It gives you enough of a taste of what you're getting into. Go check those out, see if you like them, and give the show a full listen. The full listen it deserves. You can also go to my website, which hopefully it's up by the time this video airs because I've had so many problems with it, CalebSalvatoreComedy.com for booking, dates, and merch, and much more. Not really. It's really just those three things, but that's okay too. Click one of those two videos over here. Go see what else I got. Please, just like, subscribe, watch it, share it around. Cheat on your taxes, not your spouse. Peace out, and stay based.